For this particular example, we're going to talk about how to find measures of central tendency and measures of variation using StatCrunch for use in a basic or elementary statistics course. You'll notice that I have two data sets already inputted into StatCrunch. In my previous video, I showed you how to copy a data set into StatCrunch if you needed to. What we're going to talk about now is how to find the different measures of central tendency and variation that you're going to need for this particular course. So, we go to Stat. If you left click that, as I've shown before, there are numerous selections, but we're going to start with Summary Stats, and we're going to highlight columns because we have two columns of data. Now I can work on an individual column, or I can press the Control key, hold it down, and select as many columns as I need, because you'll notice that you can have a vast amount of columns in order to work in this program. So I'm actually going to work with both of these currently. And for this particular exercise, I want to find the number of data values, which you should already know, because if you look at the side here, there are 29 data values in each data set. Now the data sets do not have to have the same number of data values in order to work with both of them at the same time. But anyways, I want to start by selecting the number of values in the data set. I'm going to press and hold the Control key while I left click Mean, and left click Variance, and left click Standard Deviation. Now the variance and standard deviation here are for samples and not for populations, and I'll show you how to find the variance and standard deviation of a population in a moment. I also want to go ahead while I'm at this, and I can use the wheel on my mouse to select range, the minimum and maximum value, quartile 1 and quartile 3. I also want to select the median. Unadjusted variance and unadjusted standard deviation are for populations. And I'll go ahead and left click both of those so that we can compare mean and variance for a sample, and variance and standard deviation for a sample, and variance and standard deviation for a population. So we'll go ahead and left click Compute, and you'll notice that we now have a pop-up window. In this first column we have the number of data values. Second column we have the mean of each data set. We have the variance for each data set, and we have the standard deviation for each data set. Remember that those are for for samples. Here's the range of the two data sets. Here's your minimum values, your maximum values. Here's quartile 1, quartile 3, and median. And remember that the median is the same thing as quartile 2, and you can adjust it so that the table will generate it as Q1 median and Q3 if you want to. Now here's the unadjusted variance, assuming it was a population, and here's the unadjusted standard deviation, assuming that it was a population. Now you'll notice that the difference is not huge between this value right here for the unadjusted standard deviation and for the standard deviation, but there is a difference, and it will cause differences and cause you to get problems wrong if you're not paying attention to which one of these you have chosen. If you have any questions, please let me know.